Excellent work. Your father would be proud of you. Having already interrogated the guests, Detective O'Reilly is now discussing the murder with the staff members as they leave the party. It would be best if you don't interfere.
Hi, Miss Bowe. I'm Ernie Leach. Dr. Carrington told me you could stay a while and talk to the staff. I've got to lock the doors, so just come and find me when you're ready to leave. Dr. C also has a key, but you don't want to bother him about that.
Thank you, Mr. Leach.
Just be careful where you go. Wolf will get upset if he finds you downstairs. See you later.
Did you manage to learn anything from your interviews, Detective O'Reilly?
Don't bother your little head about it, lass.
It's my job, sir.
This is an official murder investigation, Miss Bowe. Do not be interfering.
Oh, I don't mean to interfere. I just want to know what's going on. Any leads so far?
Dr. Carter died as the result of someone sticking a gift shop dagger in his chest. What more do you need to know?
Well, for one thing, who did it?
Someone who didn't like him, that's my guess.
Brilliant deduction.
If you think that you can do better.
I can try.
Oh, wunderbar. Now we've got the amateurs involved.
I may not be a detective, but I'm terribly clever. I've solved murders before.
Just stay out of me way, lass, and don't destroy the evidence.
Certainly not.
Yeah. Humph.
This door is locked.
Good evening, Countess.
Good evening, Miss Bowe. He was a rather good-looking fellow, don't you think? Of course, I was at the party when he died, surrounded by witnesses, but I've already told Mr. O'Reilly about all that.
Dr. Carter's demise was truly a loss to us all, despite his pushy, overinflated, headline-grabbing ego. At least he completed his work on the Ancient Egypt exhibit before he passed on. Dedicated chap, I'll say that for him.
Any idea who might have wanted to kill him?
The man had enemies crawling out of the woodwork, Miss Bowe. Practically everyone's a suspect, if you ask me.
Everyone? Including you?
Well, perhaps I should say everyone except myself, since I was at the fundraising event when Dr. Carter was taken from us. Terrible thing, really.
A typical light-hearted painting by anonymous Bosch called A Heartwarming Story, depicting dead humans being tormented by skeletons and demons in hell. One of the skeletons in the Bosch painting appears to be holding an object that glints in the light. This skeleton key is inscribed with eerily articulated markings, the weird orthography of a long-dead tongue. It offers no clue as to what it unlocks. Pandora's box, perhaps? It's an actual skeleton key, glued to the painting as if it's being held by one of the skeletons. That Bosch was a stickler for realism. Jeepers! The shiny key on the painting even feels real, probably because it is. Although you have a natural attraction to shiny objects, this one is firmly attached to the painting and obviously can't be removed by hand. Cart Before the Horse by Susetto Live in Goudoni, 1481. Two Brothers Drinking in a Tavern by Rick Morgan, Dutch Master, 1444. Trouble on Two Legs by Dennis Lewis, date unknown. Painting discovered in an attic near Bordeaux, France, hidden behind a case of chocolate. Portrait of a Young Man by Marciello Flaming, Italian Master, 1550. Musings on Cyberspace by John Wentworth, the Flemish Master, painted in 1533. A fine example of neo-quasi-Italian Renaissance sculpture by Alberto Ravioli. Sculpted in 1525, the humanoid statue is called, appropriately enough, Ruminations on Death and Dismemberment. It's one of seeming billions of ballerina sculptures that were made by Degas, who was something of a ballerina fancier. Art is Work by Fra Boberto Glisoni, painted in 1492, commissioned by Queen Isabella to keep him busy finding a new way to paint instead of discovering the New World, so that Christopher Columbus could do it instead. One of the many paintings in Michelangelo's Battle of the Nudes series. When you touch the painting, you smear a bit of the paint as if it's still damp. When you touch, it's amazing that you can still smell the slight odor of oil paint on this canvas, as if it were painted only a week ago. Perhaps the previous owners took excellent care of the painting to preserve its delicate beauty. Although the paint is old and cracking, the spirit of the artist can still be seen in the bold strokes made by the paintbrush. The oil paint on the canvas is old and cracked, but you can still see the characteristic brush strokes of anonymous Bosch, who painted with human bones instead of brushes. You hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office. Thank you for coming to see me, Olympia. This is very nice of you.
You're very welcome, my dear. What can I do for you?
Oh, you see, I found this strange bone, and I said to myself, Yvette, if anyone can tell you what this is, it would be Olympia.
A bone, you say? How fascinating. Where did you find it?
I found it right here in the museum. Here it is, Doctor.
Now, let me see. Ha ha! Yvette, you silly girl. This is a chicken bone.
It is?
Yes, of course. For it is still greasy. You got this at dinner, didn't you?
Oh, you have caught me, Olympia. I was playing the little joke on you.
You are a funny girl, Yvette, but I am quite fond of you.
Olympia, we are the good friends, no? I have the problem I wish to talk to you about.
Oh, certainly. What is it?
Come closer so I can whisper it to you. It is very personal, and I want no one to overhear.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my.
You don't hear anything. You feel a blush creeping over your face as you look at the perfect body of Rodin's famous thinker. This short, blustery man reminds you vaguely of President Roosevelt. Despite his diminutive frame, his bearing is self-assured and cocky, and his pince-nez only adds to the aura of distinguished snobbery.
I'm really very busy, Miss Bow.
The sculpture has a beautiful face. Its strong but sensitive lines remind you of Steve. Looking a little closer, you detect a seam along the sculpture's otherwise flawless neck. Looking a little closer, it's a rat, ready to pounce. Well, he would pounce if he wasn't stuffed. It's Barney, Olympia's pet cobra. You decide that's probably not such a good idea. It's an intercom slave unit. The cloth seems to be covering something up. It's half of the famed Rosetta Stone. The giant lizards are displaying some rather uncivilized behavior. Cy Pembert, a formerly successful flax farmer from Nebraska, apparently strayed from a museum tour many years ago. His remains were later found in a rarely used storage closet. Since he left no known survivors, the museum president decided to keep him on as a permanent staff member. This office is now his permanent home. The cages are empty now. You can only guess at what they once held. There's an array of rare cockroaches in the display case. It's Dr. Miklos' Ph.D. in physical anthropology from the University of Thessalonica, Greece. This is the office of Dr. Olympia Miklos. It says Dr. Olympia Miklos, Lifetime Achievement Award from the Society to Protect Misunderstood Inquilines. Thank you, dearest doctor, for helping people to truly appreciate inquilines. You are a true friend of the rat, mouse, pigeon, and cockroach. It's Dr. Miklos' double master's degree in paleontology and physical anthropology from the University of Thessalonica, Greece. It's Dr. Miklos' Ph.D. in paleontology from the University of Thessalonica, Greece. It's Dr. Miklos' chair. A magnificent view of the night sky over New York City. Dr. Miklos has many scholarly texts. You see titles such as Common Bone Disorders of Jackals, Parker's Annotated Encyclopedia of Decay, Know Your Fractures, Mummification Techniques, Advanced Dental Identification, and Decomposition from A to Z. The bottle says Dr. Moribund's Guaranteed Snake Oil.
Good evening, Miss Bow.
Oh, you startled me.
Good. It gets the blood flowing, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose so.
I see we're looking at my snake oil.
Well, I was just looking around.
I'm sure you meant no harm.
What's the snake oil for, anyway?
It repels snakes, of course. Comes in handy when I'm working in the basement. I lost a load of Egyptian cobras down there a few weeks ago, and I occasionally come across one of those little darlings. Those snakes always want to bite me, but I'm sure they don't mean anything by it. It's just their way. They get nervous very easily, you know. Normally, I love to watch them kill things. My Barney will kill anything he can sink his teeth into.
Charming.
Well, I'd like to chat some more, but I've got to rush off and meet that young Steve fellow. He promised to show me his scars. See you later.
The skull of the long-extinct horned rhesus, known in academic circles to be the source of much controversy regarding it as evidence for the extraterrestrial origin of primate evolution. You don't hear anything. A paper cutter with a sharp blade. Don't touch it. A used piece of carbon paper. You pick it up and place it in your purse. It's used carbon paper. There are words typed on the carbon paper, but you can't read them this way. There are backlit, you can read the words typed into the carbon paper. Ernie, Big Al called to see if you could do some fencing for him next week. He says he'll make it worth your while to do a fast fencing job. One of those new portable typewriters. At a mere £50, you can take it anywhere. Well, you could if it was useful to you, which it isn't, so forget it. It's a desk chair. It's an intercom slave unit. A matched pair of crossed battle axes left over from this room's previous occupant. Looks. It's a Venus flytrap. It's a diploma with Yvette Delacroix's name on it. an advanced degree in French from Ball State University to be exact. It's a transom. The file label reads, Shannon Rat's Collection. The file label reads, Alcoholic Preservation Collection. The file label reads, Museum Artifact Research Exchanges. The file label reads, Egyptian Artifacts. The file label reads, Personnel Files. The file label reads, Machu Picchu Field Survey. The file label reads, Taxidermy Records. The file label reads, Sexual Eccentricities. The file label reads, Accounting. The file label reads, Life Mask Field Survey. The file label reads, Renaissance Masters Collection. The file label reads, Paleontological Anomalies. The file label reads, Dead Things. The file label reads, Medieval Armor Collection. The file label reads, Insurance. Watercolor painting, Purple Pollywogs Playing in Puddles by Yvette Delacroix, 1924. You hear nothing of interest. You hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office. The tribal death... Come a little closer, Monsieur Nazir. I am wanting to show you something.
And what would that be, Miss Delacroix?
Look at the palm of my hand.
It is a lovely palm, to be sure. But what am I supposed to see?
You see this line, monsieur? It is my love line.
My goodness, Miss Delacroix. It goes all the way up your arm and disappears up your sleeve.
Would you like to see where it ends up, Ramses? Have you ever been to Paris, Ramses?
No, I can't say I ever have.
Then you have never seen the Eiffel Tower?
No.
Well, by all means, let me show you.
Miss Delacroix, please. I'm a married man. Oh, dear.
Have you forgotten who let you into the museum, Ramses? Have you forgotten who showed you the secret room for your little ceremonies? You haven't, have you?
No, I haven't, but...
Then you will let me give you the grand tour of the tower, no?
We'll have to go somewhere else. I don't feel safe here.
Lead the way, monsieur. You don't hear anything. The tribal death mask of the Hottentots. Looks. The mask of El Whoopentot, the god who scares Hottentot children. Hottentot elders told stories of how El Whoopentot would jump down from the roofs of Hottentot mud huts to steal the noses off children who didn't behave properly. Anthropologists attribute the El Whoopentot stories to tribal myth, but the ancient records reveal that many Hottentots lived their adult lives without noses. There's a moral here somewhere. The war mask of the Poppentot tribe. The Poppentots would strike fear into the hearts of their enemies, the Hottentots, by wearing these masks into battle and screaming their battle cry, "Pop goes the weasel!" which translates roughly as, "Go back to your own side of the river, you Hottentot wimps." The Hottentots hated the Poppentots primarily because the Poppentots kept stealing all the Hottentot women. Actually, the Hottentot women kept defecting to the Poppentot tribe because they had better food, better villages, and men who bathed regularly. You might say that the Poppentots were the first yuppies. The mask of El Whoopentot, the Hottentot god of war. Hottentot warriors would invoke their god of war with the battle cry, "Boop boop-a-doop!" This battle cry reputedly struck fear into the hearts of their enemies, who were usually the Poppentots who lived across the river. It's a portrait of the former Leyendecker Museum president, Sterling Waldorf Carlton. It might be a trick of the light, but one side of the painting seems closer to the wall than the other. Charcoal. You pick it up and place it in your purse. The charcoal appears to be composed of charcoal. While this is an rubbing the charcoal over the notepad has made the imprint readable. Yvette 8 o'clock Egyptian rum, Tut 10:15 Egyptian rum, Carrington 11 o'clock his office. It's the only telephone in the museum. It appears that someone has cut the telephone cord, removing any chance you might have had of communication with the outside world. Using your remarkable powers of deduction, you conclude that this little book contains phone numbers. Phone numbers: T. Dargan, WP 5125, R. Williams, BL 4468, I. Did It, SH 0244, Be Safe, KL 0527, U. Hoser, LI 2077, N. Yet, KL 4004, E. Leach, BR 1833. It's the personal diary of former museum president Sterling Waldorf Carlton. Glancing through the diary and the male handwriting within, it refers to Sterling's growing fear that the Countess only married him for his money and that she could be planning to kill him. The final entry reads, "Yvette fears her too." Not wanting to remove evidence from the crime scene, particularly when you must have broken some sort of law by opening the president's personal wall safe, you decide not to remove the diary. It's the back of the portrait of the former Leyendecker Museum president, Sterling Waldorf Carlton. It feels. Countess and Ziggy at 1 a.m. Medieval armor display. A handsome desk clock. Yes, it's definitely a desk clock. It says "Made in Switzerland" in the fine print on the clock face, which you can barely read due to the glare on the glass. The 6-button intercom allows the president to talk and listen to people in other offices. It's the latest thing in office telecommunications technology, an intercom master unit. You touch the... It's the button is in the receive position. The button is currently in the on position.
Oh, I so love your scars, Wolfie. Show them to me again, darling.
They are yours to admire, my strudel.
Hoopa! Very, very nice.
Yeah, and I have this new bone for your collection.
Ah, such a large bone, too. Where did you find it?
I've been carrying this bone around for years. It is yours now, my Fräulein. You may do with it what you will.
I'm impressed by your generosity, Wolfie.
The intercom crackles and you overhear a conversation.
Oh, my lover, how do you manage to do it so many times?
Sure, and a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
And you do it so well.
Try and keep your voice down, lass. Someone might hear us.
Oh, I do not care, my amour. Life, she is something we only enjoy once.
Sure, and begorra, I do this at least 50 times a day to stay in shape.
50 times, ooh la la, and what do you call this movement?
Sit-ups, lass. I also do 50 push-ups each day, then I run a few miles.
The intercom crackles and you overhear a conversation.
I'm telling you, pal, you're not supposed to be down here.
Nothing poisonal, Mac, but Archie said I could scope the place out.
Well, he didn't say anything to me about it. Neither did Mr. Heimlich. And he's the chief of security.
It's okay, Mac. Don't get used britches in an uproar. Trust me.
I'd only trust you about as far as I can throw you.
Hey now, there ain't no need for fiscal violence, Mac.
I'll give you 10 seconds. If you aren't out of my sight by then, I'm gonna hurt you real bad.
You're touchy, ain't ya? But I was done down here anyways. See you around, Mac.
Not if I can help it.
You touch the When you press the button, all you hear is static. When you press the button, all you hear is static. When you press the button, all you hear is static. Don't touch. It is better to... It's President Carrington's stuffed porcupine, Spiny Norman. The stiff quills look especially sharp under magnification.
Ouch! Those quills are sharp.
Locked drawers. You don't hear anything. You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Can't help yous with that, Toots.
Questions?
How many times are you gonna ask? Ernie Leach? Doesn't ring a bell. And here I was thinking I knew every leech in town.
Well, I do wish they wouldn't let the handyman in during social functions. He's not even dressed properly.
Oh, he's an okay fella, I suppose. I haven't spent much time with the man. Someone got tired of the man's big ego would be my guess.
Any idea who might have killed him?
Anyone who ever met him. Did you talk to the man? He was so full of himself, there wasn't space for anyone else to be in the room with him.
How do you think he died?
You discovered the body, you silly girl. He died because someone stuck a dagger in his chest, which tends to do that to a man.
What happened to his body after you examined it?
The coroner was at the party. Maybe you met him. When he left, he took Dr. Carter's body with him, ego and all.
Suspended over... The faceplate on the armor is slightly open, as if something is protruding from the inside of the dark helm. Your close scrutiny reveals that there is indeed a body within the cramped confines of the suit of armor. It's Dr. Pippin Carter, famous dead archaeologist. Dr. Carter's body has been indelicately crammed into the suit of armor. His filmy eyes gaze in mute shock. His head is bent at an unlikely angle, and the skin is puckered where the helmet's edges bite into the expanding flesh. Dr. Carter's skin is cold and disgusting to the touch. He definitely gives the appearance of being dead. Well-timed. This is the Life Mask exhibit. You haven't seen this many dead-looking, expressionless faces since your accounting class at the university. The male and female Triceratops look every inch the proud parents. You hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office.
Well, lass, we've known each other a long time, and I'm not ready to get married yet. But I know one thing for sure. I love you.
Oh, my great detective, this feeling, it is mutual.
Just be keeping in mind that I'd have to kill you if I ever found out you were sleeping with someone else.
What? Oh, you are to be making the little joke, no? Your sense of humor, it is magnifique.
I've already had one bad marriage, and it won't happen again. It's been a long time since I've been able to trust anyone as much as I trust you.
This is very flattering, my love. I am never to be knowing someone like you either. You are so good and so kind.
Well, I try, lass. I try. It's not easy being a cop in this town. The place is lousy with criminals, even in the police force.
Oh no, how terrible.
Sure, and it's a hard thing when a cop goes bad. I've seen it happen. A cop spends years fighting crime and watching the hoods get rich while he risks his life to make just a few bucks. The first time a cop takes a bribe, it bothers him. Oh, but then it gets easier.
You are such a strong man, my Ryan. You would never be accepting the payoff, no?
Sure, and I'm shocked that you'd even say such a thing, Yvette.
I'm sorry, my love. I should have known better.
You'll have to show me how sorry you are. Kiss me.
Gladly, my love. How can I resist?
Heavy stone masonry. Each block must weigh hundreds of pounds. Up close, you're able to verify that these are big stone blocks. Up. Feels like. Heavy stone. Question.
There's a fellow who gets the job done. You can't help but admire his industriousness, eh what?
You already asked me.
Ah, Monsieur Leech, he is a very honorable man, no? Of everyone here, I trust him most of all. His pay, it is not very good, but I will fix that when I become the museum president someday. In the meantime, he must do the extra work outside to pay his bills.
It sounds like you're quite fond of Mr. Leech.
He has many of the problems, but he is capable of handling them. I help him as much as I can.
The corpse is wearing a black tuxedo jacket. At the moment it's a poor fit, especially around the neck. How ironic. After untold millions of years, this pterodactyl has claimed a new victim, a male specimen of Homo sapiens, which has been pinned to the floor by the pterodactyl's monstrous beak. Though it hardly seems appropriate, you marvel at the intricacy of the construction. The pterodactyl has been covered with authentic animal hide of some sort, stretched over a rigid framework. There's nothing suspicious about it, however. You examine the free end of the wire. It's been clipped cleanly with a slight bend a centimeter or two beneath the cut end. This was no accident. You yank on the wire. It's very strong and firmly attached to the pterodactyl. Looks. This is one of the 3 wires that formerly suspended the pterodactyl from the ceiling. This is one of the 3 wires that formerly suspended the pterodactyl from the ceiling, giving it the appearance of soaring high above the floor. You carefully examine the dangling end of the wire. It's a clean cut, indicating that somebody deliberately sliced through the cable from the catwalks high above. You examine the end of the wire carefully. There's no evidence of fraying. The end has been cut off cleanly. Your careful observation reveals that this is a rented tuxedo bearing the marks of repeated alterations. There is a stain above one pocket. A whiff reveals the strong, fresh scent of champagne. Though it hardly seems appropriate, you marvel at the intricacy of the construction. The pterodactyl has been covered with authentic animal hide of some sort, stretched over a rigid framework. There's nothing suspicious about it, however. The blood has begun to clot, darkening and thickening. It's difficult to judge whether or not this blood is primarily from the neck wound or the point where the pterodactyl's beak impaled the body. Or both. The blood has begun to clot, darkening and thickening. It's difficult to judge whether or not this blood is primarily from the neck wound or the point where the pterodactyl's beak impaled the body. Or both. A large pool of blood has formed around the corpse. It has barely begun to congeal, indicating that the incident must have taken place within the past few minutes. You gently touch the pool of blood. It's very slightly coagulated. The corpse is wearing a black... The left arm and hand are splayed out to the side. A quick glance reveals nothing grasped in the hand or up the sleeve. The right hand of this unfortunate soul is flung out to the side. You find a large grease stain on the right sleeve. You give it a quick whiff and identify the scent of turkey hors d'oeuvres. You search the left arm for clues, but come up empty-handed. Your careful observation reveals... Close inspection reveals that these rented tuxedo pants have been altered many times. There's a small mustard stain on one leg. You move the arm and it flexes easily. Rigor mortis is not yet set in. The right hand and arm bend easily. Rigor mortis has not had a chance to set in. The pterodactyl is cold and lifeless, which is not unusual since it's been dead for millions of years. You don't suspect it died from foul play, but you never know. You examine the pants currently being worn by the lifeless body on the floor. They're tuxedo pants with a thin stripe of satin up the side of each leg. The pants are stained with the usual fluids that seep out during death, which explains the smell, but you find nothing unusual. You already asked me this. Oh no! That doesn't look like a life mask. It's Ziggy's head!
What is going on in here?
I'd say you've got some explaining to do, young lady. Why are you screaming?
I found Mr. Ziggy's head.
Very odd how you are always finding the bodies, Miss Bow. I think we should be going back to my office and interrogating you now.
Here now, Wolf. The young lady just found a man's head. Give her a moment before you get out your thumb screws then.
Thank you, Mr. O'Reilly.
Don't thank me, lass. I'm not saying you didn't kill the man. I'm just trying to restrain Mr. Heimlich's enthusiasm for his job.
But I will get results. Let me talk to her privately.
Now I realize you're just trying to help, Wolf, but I think we can learn what we need from the lass without harming her.
She could lie and you'd never know it. You Americans are too soft on your criminals.
I just walked in and found his head, that's all.
Well, Mr. Heimlich does have his point, lass. It's a wee bit curious that you keep showing up at the murder scenes before anyone else. How do you explain that, then?
Just lucky, I guess.
Well, you do seem a wee bit small to be sawing off a man's head, I'll say that much.
Thanks.
This Fräulein could have had help. Or maybe she's very clever.
Or maybe you're trying to pin the murders on her, so you can find the murderer and save your job, eh?
My job is quite secure, Herr O'Reilly.
Oh, really now? A security chief who allows burglars to steal the exhibits, then overlooks several murders happening under his nose. I'd think twice about your security methods if I was running things here.
This is hardly the place to discuss my methods, Herr O'Reilly. We have a suspect to interrogate.
Correction. We have a murder scene to investigate. We can talk to the lass later when she's had a chance to calm down.
Thank you again, sir.
You're a sturdy one, I'll say that much for you. One scream and you've got your head together again, so to speak. Just don't try to leave the museum.
I can't leave. I'm locked in.
Good. We won't have to worry about you then. All right, Wolf. We've got work to do. Let's go get the crime scene tools.
You already.
Do you know anything about the circumstances of Ziggy's death?
Ziggy's... no, I'm afraid I don't know a thing about that dreadful little man. I bore rather...
You don't... Heavy stone... Oh dear, the light bulb blew out. You hope someone will invent a reliable light bulb one of these days. Ouch! looks like broken glass. A Ruhmkorff coil lantern with a hand crank on the base. You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Oh, what are you doing here, my dearest darling? Come here and give me a kiss. Do you know how much I've missed you? What is it, my dear? You seem agitated. Oh, I know what you want. I know, but I can't give it to you. Not here, not now.
You hear what sounds like a muffled groan.
Easy, easy, my love. All things come to those who wait. It will all be taken care of in time. Please don't be angry, my darling. It can't be helped. Please, my dearest, don't run away. Soon, I promise, soon. That's my darling. That's my dear one. We'll go back to my office soon, and I'll give you what you want.
You don't hear anything. This door is locked. The container is full of an oily liquid. The oily liquid has a strong smell. Phew! You don't hear anything. The intercom crackles and you hear,
Ernie, it's Olympia. The release valve in number 13 seems to be jammed. Take a look at it when you have a chance.
a pair of heavy-duty wire cutters. You pick it up and place it in your purse. This curious device is a lasso at the end of a pole used for the humane capture of snakes in the wild, or wild snakes, or something like that. You pick it up and place it in your purse. It's inscribed with the words Acme Snake Lasso. Ernie's index to the stored items in the alcohol vats. Current vat contents, Alcoholic Preservation Lab. 1. Koala bears. 2. Turtles. 3. Snakes. 4. Hippo. 5. Ground sloth. 6. Skunks. 7. Loch Ness Monster. 8. Ostrich. 9. Lemmings. 10. Unicorn. 11. Creature from the Black Lagoon. 12. Rats. 13. Warthogs. 14. King Edward of Daventry. One of those newfangled intercom units. This appears to be a large button on the wall. Vat 12. Vat 11. Something odd is floating in the murky liquid. It appears to be half man and half fish. Or maybe it's just a trick of the light. VAT 13. Indistinct shapes are floating in the murky liquid. None of the creatures are close enough to the glass to see what they are.